On the school track, Lin Xiao crawled on his knees under a crushing weight of 1,000 pounds, struggling through the entire night. All of this thanks to his so-called growth system. It had generously handed him a rapid growth starter pack. At first, he thought it was just some kind of training gear, still wondering what it was supposed to do. Then showed his growth had only reached 10%. Worse still, this system wasn't done tormenting him. The very day Lin Xiao first crossed into this world, he had been bullied mercilessly by his roommate, Ma Chong. At that time, Lin Xiao's eyes were lifeless. He felt utterly hopeless. What kind of rotten luck was this? Crossing worlds just to get beaten up? Then, out of nowhere, the system granted him a skill, Charge Strike. The catch? It could only be activated by taking hits and storing up rage. Only when the rage gauge was full could the skill be unleashed. So, when Lin Xiao was on the verge of being beaten to death, the familiar chime echoed in his ears. Rage fully charged. Release Charge Strike. He didn't hesitate to the infirmary. A nurse greeted him, and he asked for treatment. To recover as fast as possible, he didn't hesitate to spend 9,800 credits on a premium repair serum, burning through almost all his winnings. Looking at his battered body inside the treatment pod, Lin Xiao sighed. The original owner of this body must have lived worse than I imagined. Constantly bullied and beaten. After all, this was a world. The results made him raise a brow. Su Jun's combat rating was actually weaker than Ma Chong's. They agreed to settle it after class in the training arena. Word spread fast. By the time the duel began, a crowd of students had gathered around the stage, eager for a good show. As Lin Xiao stepped onto the platform, Su Jun shouting, "Coward! Stop dodging and fight me head-on!" Just then, the system's chime echoed. Rage fully charged, 100%. Lin Xiao's eyes sharpened. He stopped dodging and unleashed Charge Strike, meeting Su Jun's fist head-on. Boom! A shockwave of raw energy blasted across the stage. Su Jun's body flew backward like a ragdoll, crashing outside the ring with a heavy thud. The entire arena fell silent, everyone staring in stunned disbelief. Su Jun coughed blood, struggling to rise, and roared, "Lin Xiao, you're still just trash." Lin Xiao's reply was calm. "I see. If you lose to trash, then what does that make you? Trash among trash." No one dared to laugh anymore. No one dared to oppose him joining the field training. Soon after, the academy announced that Lin Xiao's class would be deployed to City Zone A2 for live combat training. The area had once been ravaged by nuclear fallout and viral mutations. Now it was swarming with zombies and mutant monstrosities. Still, the teacher reassured them. They had undergone long-term training, and with academy-issued battle blades and combat suits, ordinary monsters posed little threat. But danger and opportunity walked hand in hand. Parts of mutant beasts could be harvested as rare crafting materials, and the core crystals within their brains were prized treasures that boosted cultivation. At that, excitement lit up the students' faces. One by one, they prepared themselves, eager to test their strength in the field. But the moment Lin Xiao joined the squad, two teammates looked down their noses at him, warning coldly, "Don't drag us down." Thankfully, Fatty stepped up to defend him, easing the tension. Suddenly, Lin Xiao raised his hand for silence. He had caught something moving in the distance. Instantly, everyone grew alert, slipping into battle stance. Then boom, 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 heavy footsteps thundered closer. A hulking zombie burst out of the shadows. Data from Eye of Analysis flickered into view. Combat power, 380. Lin Xiao's heart sank. His own rating was only 291. Even a low-tier zombie had a higher stat than him. The others, facing a zombie for the first time, shrank back nervously, unwilling to advance. But Lin Xiao, hungry for EXP, charged in recklessly with his blade. To his shock, the zombie went down in a single strike, cleaved cleanly in half. Oh, that's it. Combat power is just a guideline, not absolute strength. Ding. Congratulations, host. First order zombie slain. EXP plus 200. Ding. Level up. Current level, 2. Reward, plus 2 stat points. Excitement surged through him. With the system growth felt effortless. Without hesitation, he dumped both points straight into strength. Yet in battle, the greatest mistake was carelessness. A teammate's shout jolted him back to reality. 3 zombies had slipped behind him, lunging to attack. Seeing Lin Xiu frozen in place, Zhang Yi thought he was paralyzed with fear. With a roar, he charged in, blade flashing. Slash! In an instant, the 3 zombies were shredded into chunks, rotting limbs raining down onto the dirt. Yi Qiu quickly raised a thumb, flattering. "Brother Zhang, you're amazing." Zhang Yi smirked but couldn't resist sneering. And who was it that just froze like a coward? Lin Xiu ignored him. His eyes lingered on the fallen corpses with regret. All that wasted EXP. With a helpless sigh, he sheathed his blade and pressed onward with the team. Before long, they stumbled upon another zombie. But this one was different. Its muscles were grotesquely overdeveloped, black veins crawling across its skin like stone patterns. It radiated a menace far beyond the ones before. Lin Xiu quickly signaled his teammates to hold their ground. "Don't make a move." But Yi Qiu ignored him, scoffing that it was just a normal zombie, eager to show off in front of the others. Even Fatty was about to step forward, until Lin Xiu blocked him. Data from Eye of Analysis was clear. This wasn't an ordinary monster. It was a zombie leader. At that very moment, Yi Qiu was already swaggering up to it, shouting, "Come here and die." The zombie leader was a weakling like you get to teach me how to fight. His blade came down, only for the zombie leader to blur out of the way with explosive speed. The strike hacked off nothing but its arm. Zhang Yi froze. What? It can dodge. Enraged and wounded, the zombie leader unleashed a furious roar. The shriek echoed across the entire zone. All around them, dormant zombies began to stir. In moments, the area was swarming with low-tier undead. None of the 4 had ever seen a sight like this before. Fear spread like wildfire. Zhang Yi was the first to crack, his face pale with terror. Abandoning his comrades, he turned tail and ran for his life. But in Lin Xiu's eyes, this wasn't a disaster. This was a jackpot. So many EXP piñatas. If I take them all down, I could level up several times in one go. Ignoring Fatty's shouts, he charged in headlong, blade flashing. Win big or die trying. Time to roll the dice. A mere horde of zombies? He believed he could do it. Fatty stared in disbelief. Was this really the Lin Xiu he knew? Did he really need to gamble his life this hard? Yet perhaps inspired by Lin Xiu's reckless courage, Fatty gritted his teeth, raised his own blade, and dove into the fray at his side. But no matter how hard they fought, the horde didn't seem to thin. Exhaustion crept in, their defenses beginning to falter. Then, the zombie leader struck again, pouncing from behind. With brutal force, it slammed Lin Xiu to the ground. Fatty panicked, but he was locked in his own fight, unable to help. The leader's jaws snapped open, lunging for Lin Xiu's throat. With every ounce of strength, Lin Xiu drove a desperate punch into its face, barely deflecting the killing bite. But the monster still pinned him down, and he couldn't break free. Just when Lin Xiu thought this was the end for him, the system chimed. His zombie kills had been tallied, and to his shock, his level shot up by 3 ranks, granting him plus 12 stat points. A spark of hope ignited in his eyes. Without hesitation, he dumped every single point straight into strength. His arms swelled, muscles bulging, growing visibly thicker. He clamped both hands around the zombie leader's skull, and with a savage twist, crack, its neck snapped 180 degrees, leaving the monster paralyzed. Lin Xiu tore himself free from its grasp. Snatching his fallen blade from the ground, he delivered the finishing strike. Ding! Congratulations, host. Leader class, zombie slain. Level up 6. Reward, plus 6 stat points. System unlocked, gene lock. Lin Xiu allocated the new points evenly into constitution and agility. His combat power surged, finally hitting 380. With the leader dead, the remaining low-tier zombies were quickly dispatched. Then Lin Xiu noticed something new on his status screen. Gene lock. Every warrior knew it. Most of humanity's potential lay dormant, sealed within the body. The gene lock represented the most primal barrier to that hidden strength. Legends claim that unlocking it fully would elevate one to a godlike existence. Driven by curiosity, Lin Xiao tried to activate the first stage. But the moment he confirmed, warning, minimum level requirement, 15, unlock failed. A cold chill ran down his spine like a bucket of ice water dumped over his head. But he quickly clenched his fists, muttering, "So it's only level 15. I just need to grind harder. I'll get there soon enough." Determined, he pressed forward, eager to farm more EXP. Before long, the path was blocked by a rusted signpost. On it were scrawled the words, "Novice warriors forbidden beyond this point." He recalled Teacher Luo's stern warning before they left. Never go too deep. The monsters in the inner zone are beyond your ability to face. Yet Lin Xiao hesitated. On their march, he hadn't encountered any more zombies. No zombies meant no EXP. As he wrestled with the thought, Fatty suddenly went pale, pointing a trembling finger behind him. A snake. Lin Xiao spun around, scalp tingling that wasn't just a snake. A massive azure python was uncoiling from the trees above, its scales shimmering. A tier 3 chameleon serpent. Worse yet, Eye of Analysis failed to process its stats. Lin Xiao's heart sank. This monster, we don't stand a chance. Suddenly, the serpent struck. Its venomous fangs gnashed wide, snapping toward them in a deadly lunge. They managed to dodge, but the sheer force of the strike still sent them flying. Lin Xiao used the momentum to roll backward, pulling himself away. Yet the serpent seemed fixated on him alone, thundering after him. Lin Xiao nearly cried in frustration. Why me? Why not chase Fatty for once? Meanwhile, Fatty had run himself ragged, glancing back only to realize the serpent wasn't after him at all. He also noticed Lin Xiao was gone, likely forced deeper into the ruins. Lin Xiao kept running until he realized the serpent was no longer behind him. He pressed against a broken wall, breathing shallowly, heart pounding. With its camouflage scales, the beast could blend into the environment. For all he knew, it was already stalking him. That's when an arrow suddenly appeared in his vision, its tip aimed directly at his forehead. Lin Xiao froze. He hadn't expected to run into an adventurer squad here. These were licensed hunters, professionals who made their living killing zombies and mutant beasts for materials and core crystals, far beyond what he could handle. One of them spotted his Xingyao Academy combat uniform. Greed flashed in his eyes. He wanted Lin Xiao's blade. In A2 district without a weapon, you were as good as dead. Lin Xiao readied himself to resist, but the man raised his war blade, prepared to cut him down. Then, the serpent reappeared, jaws gaping, lunging from behind them. One adventurer vanished in a single gulp, devoured whole. The squad leader shouted, "Stay calm. It's a tier 3 evolution beast. Its core crystal and scales are worth millions." The adventurer's eyes gleamed. Though slain, it charged after Xiao dragged her to shore, laying her beneath the shade. Lin Xiao had never seen a girl this beautiful before. What shocked him even more was that she looked barely in her early 20s. Yet she was already a tier 4 warrior. Them over a fire. He was chewing happily on fresh fish when SHNK, a blade stabbed toward his back, making him jolt in fright. The girl had weakly raised her sword, glaring at him. "What did you do to me while I was out?" Realizing the misunderstanding, Lin Xiao quickly waved his hands. "Nothing. I saved you, that's all." Then he smirked, adding, "Relax, I'm not the type to demand repayment. I won't make you marry me or anything." Her pale cheeks flushed red as she turned away, muttering, "Shameless." Lin Xiao only grinned, handing her a skewer of roasted fish. "Name's Lin Xiao." She took it, her tone cool. "Luo you." Biting into the fish, she added coldly, "I don't like debts. Tell me what you want. I'll pay it back. Then we're even." Lin Xiao hadn't expected the girl he saved to be this cold toward her rescuer. Testing the waters, he said he wanted to become as strong as her. "Luo, you didn't even look impressed. Your talent's way too poor," she dismissed. The words stabbed like a blade. "Do I have no dignity at all?" Lin Xiao fumed internally. Night fell. "Luo, you drifted into sleep." Lin Xiao, however, quietly pulled up his system interface and began fiddling with it. He still hadn't used today's lottery spin. Excited, he triggered the draw. Hands clasped in prayer, he muttered, "Please, just give me a weapon." The pointer slowed and stopped on jackpot. Ding! Congratulations, host. You have obtained the jackpot reward. Martial skill card. 100 birds facing the phoenix. Lin Xiu froze. A martial skill card, crafted only by tier 6 warriors? By convention, such cards were rank bronze, silver, gold, and diamond. He looked up and saw a pale green bronze card floating above his head. His face went dark. Seriously? A jackpot, and I get the lowest tier? But on closer inspection, his jaw severed, its head lunged with vision. Already, Lin Xiu's eyes glazed, his face twisting with feral desire. His posture turned predatory, an unsettling leer spreading across his features. Luo Yu's heart jolted, fear flashing across her face. "Stay back. Don't you dare come closer." Lin Xiu no longer understood what was happening. All he knew was that he was about to lose control. Poison raging through his veins, Lin Xiu lunged and slammed Luo Yu down, completely losing control. Her furious voice cut through his hay. Deep down, worry flickered. Why hasn't he come back yet? Lost in her thoughts, she didn't sense the danger creeping closer. A band of adventurers emerged from the shadows, eyes glinting with malice. Luo Yu snapped to alertness, barking, "Leave or die." The men only sneered at the threat of a wounded tier 4 warrior. They'd seen the Thunder Leopard's dying strike knock her off the cliff and knew she was just barely standing. Their gazes turned lewd, hunger obvious. Luo Yu's brows knitted as she lashed out with her blade. But injured and alone, she was swiftly tripped. Rough hands pinned her to the ground. The leader grinned, convinced she was his. No one comes this deep into the forbidden ruins, he thought. She's mine. Just as despair loomed, Lin Xiu appeared, stepping forward with a face like a thundercloud. His voice was a cold growl. "You've chosen death." The man's pleasure soured into fury at the interruption, his expression turning dark. Lin Xiu ignored him, speaking coldly, "Zhang Liang. Tier 2 warrior. Blade specialist." His eye of analysis activated, exposing he was a tier 2 mutant beast. Luo Yu instructed calmly from the side. "That's a tusk-wild boar. It specializes in linear charges. Its weakness is the underbelly." Even as she spoke, the boar roared and thundered straight toward him. By the second day, Lin Xiu could dispatch a tier 2 Black Panther with ease. His tally had already reached 30 mutant beasts. Under Luo Yu's sharp guidance, his progress was astonishing. He even managed to slay 2 tier 3 beasts, pushing his level up to LV9. Every beast core they harvested, Luo Yu gave to him without hesitation. The girl who seemed like an ice queen was, in her own way, repaying his earlier rescue. By then, Luo Yu's injuries had fully healed. Before leaving, she turned to him with icy eyes. "If we meet again and your strength is still below mine, I'll kill you myself." Lin Xiu was stunned. Why had she suddenly returned to her old, frigid self? Watching her departing figure, he called after her, "Wait, where are you from?" She didn't turn, only tossing back 2 words, "Sanctum." After Luo Yu vanished, Lin Xiu made his way alone to the edge of the Forbidden Zone. He thought the adventurer squad would have left by now, but they lay in ambush. Reflex saved him. He ducked just in time to avoid a lethal strike. Seeing only a tier 1 warrior before him, Lin Xiu planned to finish the fight quickly before reinforcements arrived. But the man immediately unleashed a bronze-grade combat skill, White Serpent Spitzfang. The force slammed into Lin Xiu, hurling him several meters through the air. He rolled violently before smashing into a boulder, the impact rattling his bones. Lin Xiu had a new skill card in hand, but without a proper weapon, he couldn't activate it. Still, the clash spiked his rage gauge to 90%. The first exchange only made the man sneer harder. How could a rookie without a combat skill possibly threaten him? He lunged again, confident he could end it in one blow. But once more, Lin Xiu met the strike head-on, deflecting it with sheer grit. A chime echoed in his mind, frowny face system notification. Rage fully charged. Activate charge strike? Lin Xiao gritted his teeth. Yes. Power surge in his right leg, every muscle tightening like drawn steel. He kicked forward with explosive force. A move of his own creation, frowny face, heaven-breaking kick. The man scoffed, raising a hand to block, unaware of the danger. The instant his palm met Lin Xiao's leg, bone shattered with a sickening crack, crack, crack. And in the full impact hit, his lower half obliterated. The scream that followed could have shaken the heavens. Lin Xiao didn't hesitate. While the man writhed helplessly, his blade flashed once, and the fight was over. System notification. Enemy defeated. Level up LV.10. Another alert followed. Frowny face. New skill unlocked. Rage burst. Strength, agility, and constitution massively increased for 10 minutes. The rest of the adventurers arrived moments later, forming a loose circle around Lin Xiao. Their captain spotted the corpse of his fallen man, and rage exploded in his chest. Murderous intent radiated off him like heat. "Kill him," he roared at once. The squad charged together. Lin Xiao groaned. "Seriously? 5-on-1. What happened to martial ethics? 4 tier. 1 warriors and 1 tier 2 captain. There was no winning that head-on. But losing didn't mean dying, not if he ran fast enough. He dumped every potential point into speed, then activated Rage Burst without hesitation. Strength, agility, and stamina surged in unison. His body felt like a furnace of raw power. "Damn, that feels amazing." The captain frowned. "What's going on?" His aura just spiked. Before he could finish, Lin Xiao vanished in a blur of lightning. "He's running. Split up," the captain barked. But Lin Xiao wasn't fleeing. He was lying in ambush, crouched low among the bushes like a cunning predator. As soon as the squad spread out, he locked onto his first target, a man wielding a spear. With a burst of speed, Lin Xiao lunged from behind, kicked the man to the ground, and ripped the weapon from his grasp. The moment the spear hit his hands, confidence surged through him. Finally, with a real weapon in hand, he could now unleash the power of his skill card. Just as Lin Xiao seized the spear, another enemy spotted him. The man bellowed and activated his bronze tier skill, Tempest Break. Purple energy surged along his greatsword as he lunged forward like a raging storm. Lin Xiao didn't retreat. Power flared through his veins as energy flooded into his spear. 100 birds ascend to the phoenix. The spear blazed with radiant light. A sharp whoosh tore through the air, like the cry of 1,000 birds in the blink of an eye. Lin Xiao's strike pierced straight through the man's chest. The impact shattered the silence. Even the dust seemed frozen midair. The others arrived just in time to witness it, staring wide-eyed at the impossible. The captain's face twisted in disbelief. "An entry-level rookie, just one shot, my man." Rage replaced reason. "Kill him," he roared, unleashing his own silver tier skill. Earth Split Rampage. Blades, energy waves, and killing intent surged from every direction. Lin Xiao braced himself. That blow alone wouldn't finish it. "Then take this." He unleashed his trump card. 100 birds ascend to the phoenix, energy flaring like wings of light. The spear screamed strike. A familiar voice echoed across the ruins. "Who gave you the guts to lay hands on a student of Starflare Academy?" From the smoke stepped the Academy's medic, the same woman who once patched Lin Xiao up. She planted herself in front of him, eyes sharp as blades. "You've got 3 seconds to disappear. I might be a healer, but I don't mind killing a few pieces of trash today." Her killing intent rolled out like a wave. The mercenaries froze, then bolted in panic. Lin Xiao stood speechless. The kind, gentle nurse was a level 4 combatant. He realized he'd never once scanned her with his analysis. What a fatal oversight. The medic sighed. "Didn't expect this from you, kid." The so-called bottom of the class, slaying 3 first tiers and nearly taking down a second tier. "You've grown." Her arrival marked the end of the A2 zone field trial. Students regrouped at the extraction point, their combat data automatically uploaded to the Academy server. The instructor reviewed the results, nodding with satisfaction. Almost everyone showed real improvement, until he frowned. Wait, where's Lin Xiao? The chubby teammate spoke up. Sir, we ran into a tier 3 serpent. Lin Xiao fell into the restricted zone. Ah, Zhang, he snorted. That loser's probably snake fu by now that can't fix stupid. The instructor slammed his tablet shut. Enough. No one dies until I see a body that will wait. But whispers rippled through the students. Wait, for what? That guy's already dead. Yeah, the academy's biggest loser finally got what was coming. Just then, a familiar voice cut through the chatter behind them. Light, mocking, and way too calm. Who's cursing me dead already? Su Jun, looks like you forgot how it felt last time. Want me to help you remember? Everyone turned. Lin Xiao was walking out from the restricted zone, dust-covered but perfectly fine, not a scratch on him. He looked more like someone returning from a stroll than from the brink of death. The whole training ground went silent. Then the chubby guy broke into a grin, rushing over to hug him. Knew it. I knew you wouldn't die that easy, bro. Su Jun sneered. Don't get cocky, Lin Xiao. You probably hid somewhere safe and didn't even kill one beast. Zhang, he took down 8 evolved beasts all by himself. Gasps filled the air. No way, 8. That's insane. Class rep's a monster. I barely killed one and almost died doing it. Lin Xiao chuckled softly, completely unfazed. 8 tier, 1 beasts. Cute. He loosened the straps on his pack and gave it a shake that a cascade of shimmering Evo cores spilled onto the ground, glittering under the sun. So many that they piled into a small mountain of loot. The crowd went dead silent again. Instructor Luo finished counting, his voice trembling slightly. 16 tier, 1 cores, and 5 tier, 2 cores. Then he froze, staring at the last 3 crystals glowing faint violet in his palm. 3 tier, 3 cores? He muttered, barely believing his own words. The classroom fell silent. Lin Xiao's results hit harder than a slap. It shattered every trace of mockery left in the room. Zhang Yi's face twisted with disbelief. No way. That trash couldn't have pulled this off. He jabbed a finger toward Lin Xiao, shouting, Instructor Luo. He must have cheated. Instructor Luo snapped. A single tier, 3 core costs at least 4 to 500,000 credits. Which of you could drop over 1 million just to fake a few for cheating? Zhang Yi's jaw tightened, but he had no comeback. His face turned dark with humiliation. Since they weren't registered combatants yet, they couldn't sell through the Alliance exchange. The instructor explained that the tavern inside the Academy district bought beast cores for cash. When Lin Xiao laid 3 tier, 3 cores on the counter, the tavern keeper's eyes lit up like twin gold coins. Rubbing his hands together, the man grinned. 3 tier, 3S, I'll pay 500k each. Cash. Fair deal, right? But before Lin Xiao could answer, someone shoved him roughly aside. The newcomer was Sun Chun, a student from the elite class, ranked 108 on the Academy power list. Arrogant as ever, Sun Chun sneered. Ha! Even the loser class dares come here. What's next? Begging for scraps from real fighters. Lin Xiao didn't back down. His eyes went cold. I'll give you one chance to apologize right now. Otherwise, I'll show you exactly how it feels to get beaten up by trash. Sun Chin's expression froze. He'd never imagined a so-called bottom ranker would dare threaten him. With a furious snarl, he threw a heavy punch straight at Lin Xiao, ready to teach this nobody his place. But instead of dodging, Lin Xiao stepped forward and met the blow head-on. The moment their fists collided, a dull shockwave burst through the air. Sun Chin staggered backward several steps, cracks spiderwebbing beneath his boots. He glanced down. His knuckles were already swelling. What? His strength's higher than mine. Roaring in disbelief, he lashed out with a high kick, only for Lin Xiao to sidestep easily. In the same motion, Lin Xiao lunged forward, driving his knee straight into Sun Chen's gut. Crack! Sun Chen flew backward, blood spraying from his nose as he crashed to the ground in a heap. The crowd erupted. Let's go, Lin Xiao. Finally, someone shut that elite brat up. For the first time, the bottom class cheered louder than the elites. That blow completely enraged Sun Chen that he was done holding back. With a roar, he unleashed his bronze tier combat skill, explosive fist. Dozens of shockwave punches ripped through the air, tearing up the floorboards, but not a single one-hit Lin Xiao. Snarling, Sun Chun gathered every ounce of energy in his body into his right fist. Bronze combat skill, explosive rush. He lunged forward like a cannon shell, fist aimed straight at Lin Xiao's chest. But Lin Xiao didn't dodge. Instead, he raised his arm and caught the attack head-on. The moment their fists met, the tavern erupted. Tables shattered, dust swirled, and the walls trembled under the shockwave. Students watching from the side went pale with worry. From the elite class, Li Yuan smirked. "TCH, idiot. He's dead meat." But the next instant, Sun Chen's expression froze. Lin Xiao stood completely still. He had caught the blow without even flinching. Then, the familiar chime echoed in his ears. System notification, rage charge complete. But Lin Xiao didn't even bother to use his charge strike. He knew his own strength was more than enough to put Sun Chun in the dirt. He wanted to make an example out of him. A clear warning to anyone else thinking about picking a fight. Grabbing Sun Chen's arm, Lin Xiao twisted hard. The sound of snapping bones echoed through the tavern like dry wood cracking. The entire arm bent at an unnatural angle. Sun Chun screamed in agony. The elite class students immediately shouted and surged forward to attack. But Lin Xiao's classmates weren't backing down either. Sleeves rolled up, eyes blazing, ready for an all-out brawl. Just as chaos was about to break out, the instructor appeared and slammed a hand down on the counter. Enough! Yet the elite students instantly played the victim, claiming Lin Xiao started it. Fatty, standing beside Lin Xiao, couldn't take it anymore. He explained everything from start to finish to Teacher Luo. After hearing the truth, Teacher Luo scolded Lin Xiao with a straight face, but deep down, he was grinning. Those arrogant elite brats had been untouchable for too long. It was about time someone humbled them. Lin Xiao caught the hint, bowed exaggeratedly, and said with fake sincerity, "Sorry about that. If you need medical expenses, I'll cover it. I've got cash to spare these days." Sun Chen's face turned purple with rage. He almost coughed up blood. The whole room struggled to hold in their laughter. It wasn't the pain that hurt, it was the humiliation. The elite class instructor clearly wasn't pleased, but couldn't say much. He waved his hand and muttered, "Forget it, let's end this here." As he turned to leave, Sun Chun threw a glare over his shoulder. "Lin Xiao, I underestimated you today. Let's settle this properly at the end-of-term combat exam, if you dare to show up." Lin Xiao smirked, unfazed. "Why wouldn't I?" After they left, Instructor Luo clapped his hands. "All right, everyone. Time to check your combat power. Let's see how much progress you've made after the field training." "Here's the scale," he explained. "Combat power 300 to 600 means beginner point 600. 800 counts as trainee point 800, 1500. You're officially a first-class warrior." Fatty went first. The scanner flashed green. "Combat power 469. Beginner," the device announced. Next came Zhang Yi. His result lit up as 675, earning him the title of trainee warrior. Instructor Luo grinned ear to ear. "Excellent. Starting tomorrow, you can begin training with real cultivation techniques." He added, "That's what separates warriors from commoners. Through cultivation, they draw in ambient energy, strengthen their bodies, bones, and cells, evolving beyond human limits." Then it was Lin Xiao's turn. He stepped forward calmly, ready to prove that the Academy's so-called bottom rank trash had finally turned into something else entirely. The scanner pulsed with bright light. For a moment, the whole room held its breath. Zhang, he stared at the screen in disbelief, his confident smile frozen midair. The numbers appeared. Combat power, 676. Lin Xiao had surpassed him by one single point. The room exploded in shock. Fatty was the first to cheer, pumping his fist. "Let's go." "Lin Xiao, you're insane." With two new trainee warriors in the class, Instructor Luo kept them behind that evening. "Both of you are now trainees. Think carefully about your future path. Choose a weapon that matches who you want to become. Be warned, Tier 3 and above beasts have fully evolved hides. Ordinary weapons won't cut it. You need blades forged from special extraplanetary alloys to actually damage them. Lin Xiao, however, had already made his choice. Ever since unlocking the growth skill, 100 Birds Phoenix, the spear felt like the perfect match for him. Instructor Luo raised an eyebrow. A spear is the king of arms. When mastered, its power is tremendous, but it's notoriously difficult to train with as the saying goes. A year for the blade, 10 for the sword, 100 for the spear. Seeing how resolute Lin Xiao was, Luo couldn't help but ask him why he chose such a demanding weapon. Lin Xiao answered simply, "Among the world's top 10 fighters, there isn't a single spear user. That's where my edge will be." Luo's eyes widened. The kid's ambition showed through loud and clear. Watching Lin Xiao walk away, the instructor felt a rare pang of pride. Maybe this one wouldn't be ordinary after all. The next morning, Lin Xiao used the info card the teacher gave him and checked out basic spear techniques and introductory cultivation methods from the library. What he still lacked was a proper spear, so he headed to the school's martial armory to pick one out. The shopkeeper brought out several newly forged spears for him to test, but Lin Xiao kept finding them too light. They felt more like billiard cues than battlefield weapons. His picky testing annoyed the proprietor. The man snorted, "Fine, suit yourself. I have heavy ones in the back. The only question is whether you can even swing one." The spear had been sitting in the corner gathering dust. It was simply too heavy for anyone to buy. Forged from the core of a new jade ore, it weighed a staggering 69 kilograms and bore the name Silver Soul Spear. The moment Lin Xiao gripped it, he felt as if the weapon was tailor-made for him. Perfectly balanced, solid in weight, and comfortable in hand, he decided instantly, "I'll take it." The shopkeeper's jaw nearly dropped. This kid really just a trainee warrior. 69 kilos, and he's twirling like a broom. But when the price came out, Lin Xiao froze. "What? 1.2 million? Boss, can I pay in installments?" "Not a single credit less," the man replied flatly. With a heavy heart, Lin Xiao bought it anyway. Half of his hard-earned 2 million credits from selling beast cores gone in one swipe. Back at the dorm, he immediately began practicing the basic cultivation technique. Yet, during his first attempt, he felt absolutely nothing. Curious, he opened the system interface. To his surprise, every single attribute had quietly increased by +2. Suddenly, a new notification flashed: frowny face, monthly lottery. August available. Draw now. Lin Xiao slapped his forehead. He'd forgotten that the system gave one free spin every month besides normal mission rewards. He quickly hit yes, muttering, "Please, anything but another weapon," as that the girl was none other than his childhood friend, Yi Shuang, whom he hadn't seen in 2 years since high school. Her teacher had brought her to tour the academy ahead of the college entrance exams. As the two chatted happily, a teasing voice came from behind. Well, Shuang, so this is the Lin Xiao you always talk about? I heard the bottom-ranked loser at Xingyao Academy is also named Lin Xiao. Don't tell me that's him." Shuanger's face darkened instantly. "Tang Ping, what's that supposed to mean?" Tang Ping smirked with jealousy. "Relax, I just want to spar with your senior. He's 2 years older, right? Or is he too scared to fight me?" Lin Xiao couldn't believe a punk kid like this dared to provoke him. And worse, tried to humiliate him right in front of Shuanger. Though weighed down by 1,000 pounds, every breath heavy, Lin Xiao stood his ground. He showed no fear and said coldly, "Come on then, let's see what you've got." Tang Ping activated his bronze tier technique, Dust Palm, channeling his energy into both hands. With blinding speed, he lunged toward Lin Xiao. Normally, Lin Xiao could have dodged easily, but with the crushing weight on his body, all he could do was take the blow head-on. One of Tang Ping's lackeys laughed mockingly. "Brother Tang's almost a quasi-warrior. That trash is done for." But Shuanger clenched her fists, eyes firm. "Brother Lin Xiao won't lose." Tang Ping frowned. His strikes had forced Lin Xiao back, but they couldn't knock him down. Determined to show off in front of Shuanger, he wrenched his arm, and it snapped under the pressure. Then Lin Xiao kicked him, sending him flying across the courtyard. Tang Ping spat blood and fury. "I'll kill you for this," he snarled. Lin Xiao barely registered the threat. He hadn't noticed another furious figure charging up from behind. By the time he reacted, The man's fist was already descending. The blow landed with brutal force, blasting Lin Xiao several meters away. The attacker was Tang Ping's older brother, Tang Tan, ranked number 100 on the Academy Power list, a trainee-level warrior and vice president of the Boxing Association. Tang Tian launched another flurry of attacks, roaring, "You broke my brother's arm. I'll tear your limbs apart." Weighed down by the 1,000-pound training load, Lin Xiao knew he couldn't hope to outmatch a fellow trainee in straight combat, nor could he dodge all the strikes. At that critical moment, Shuang'er suddenly stepped forward, spreading her slender arms to block him. "Don't you dare hurt brother Lin Xiao," she cried. Tang Tian, however, had no intention of showing. Tang Tian stepped on his arm with a cruel grin. "Still trying to play the hero? I'll cripple you myself." The pressure on Lin Xiao's arm increased until the sound of cracking bone echoed through the hall. Yet Tang Tian wasn't done. He lifted his foot again, aiming straight for Lin Xiao's groin. Thankfully, a teacher intervened just in time, blocking the vicious strike. When the instructor demanded an explanation, Tang Tian barely looked fazed, his arrogance written all over his face. He sneered at Lin Xiao, "Watch your back, trash. One of these days you'll wind up dead." But instead of fear, Lin Xiao's eyes blazed with defiance. 3 days from now, he said, "We settle this in the arena." Professor Luo's face paled. "Are you insane, Lin Xiao? The arena duel is a fight to the death. He'll kill you." Shuang'er's expression was filled with worry as she pleaded with him not to do it. But Lin Xiao had already made up his mind. He glared at Tang Tian and said coldly, "The question is, do you dare?" Tang Tian's eyes darkened with rage, but he silently vowed to cripple Lin Xiao in front of the entire academy. Within hours, the news spread across the campus like wildfire. The so-called academy's weakest had challenged a genius. Everyone was eager to watch the spectacle. Meanwhile, Lin Xiao went to the infirmary to treat his broken arm. The nurse, better known as the clinic sister, brought out the best healing potion and gently applied it to his wounds. When she heard he was going to fight Tang Tian in a life-or-death duel, she handed him a bronze tier skill card, Explosive Fist. It was one of the fiercest close combat techniques. A punch so powerful it created a sonic blast, but training at risk tearing tendons and shredding muscles. No one else dared to learn it. Yet the nurse also gave him a vial of recovery elixir. "You'll need this if you want to live through it," she said. Lin Xiao was moved to tears by her kindness. Then, with a teasing smile, she lifted his chin. "You'll be mine sooner or later, little brother. I can't have you dying before that." For 3 straight days and nights, Lin Xiao trained relentlessly until his fist could blast shockwaves through the air. His grueling effort pushed him to level 11, though the rapid growth system progress bar was still lagging behind. Even after adapting to the 1,000-pound load, he estimated he could only fight at about 80% of his full strength. The next day, both fighters stood at the center of the arena. The crowd roared with chants for Tang Tian, the Academy's golden boy. As the duel began, Tang Tian wasted no time. His first strike was a killing blow. His longsword flared with crimson energy, slicing toward Lin Xiao with terrifying speed. Lin Xiao spun his spear, shredding his clothes and skin. Blood dripped from his face. He looked battered, almost defeated. But Tang Tian knew the truth. Those were only surface wounds. His attacks hadn't cut deep enough to end it. "Let's finish this," Tang Tian roared, channeling his silver tier martial art, Flame Impact. The crimson blaze engulfed his sword, radiating heat so intense it warped the air. Lin Xiao clenched his jaw. He knew he couldn't block that head-on, and his rage charge wasn't ready yet. His plan had been to chain rage charge and 100 birds ascend the phoenix, but now he had no choice but to fire early. His spear ignited, wreathed in elemental fire, the tip glowing like molten steel. The two forces collided, Flame Impact versus Phoenix Spear, and the world exploded with light. Boom! The blast hurled Lin Xiao across the arena, carving a crater into the ground. Tang Tian stood unmoved, his uniform barely scorched, a single scratch marking his shoulder. The clash was over, and the verdict was clear. Lin Xiao had lost this exchange. Yet, to everyone's shock, he grinned through the dust, sitting up as if nothing had happened. Then the familiar system chime echoed in his mind: system notification, fast growth program, complete, plus 25 potential points acquired. Rage gauge 100% full. Would you like to activate Charge Strike? Lin Xiao exhaled, relief washing over him. He poured 21 points into strength and 4 into constitution, feeling raw power surge through his veins. Then, with one motion, he unclasped the 1,000. He slashed forward, only for his blade to slice through an afterimage. His pupils shrank in shock. With the burden gone, Lin Xiao's speed and strength had skyrocketed to a new tier entirely. The next clash shattered Tang Tian's broadsword, fragments bursting like sparks. From the stands, Instructor Luo gasped. That kid, once the weights came off, he turned into a monster. Lin Xiao spun his spear, the weapon blazing with fiery aura, arcs of flame coiling around him like living serpents. With a roar, he thrust forward, Charge Strike, and 100 birds ascend the phoenix detonated together, the fusion blast lighting up the entire arena. Tang Tian unleashed his full might, but Lin Xiao's spear cut straight through it like a thunderbolt. The flaming spear tip tore the air apart, shattering Tang Tian's attack in an instant. His broadsword lasted barely half a second before splitting clean in two. Tang Tian was lifted off his feet and sent crashing several meters away. The entire arena went dead silent. He actually defeated a top 100-ranked fighter. Coughing blood, Tang Tian clutched his chest, humiliation twisting his face. Beaten by a so-called bottom feeder? Impossible. In a fit of rage, he pulled out a vial of forbidden serum. The moment he drank it, his veins bulged, muscles ballooning grotesquely. Within seconds, he had transformed into a monstrous, muscle-bound beast. His eyes turned crimson. "I'll tear you apart," he snarled. Then came the roar of power. Tang Tian activated his bronze combat skill, collapsing fist. The punch detonated the ground itself, sending shockwaves that carved a crater into the arena floor. Lin Xiao rolled aside, just in time, the blast skimming his shoulder. He sprang up, counterattacking with a sweeping spear strike. But Tang Tian caught the spear in his bare hands, his grip like iron clamps. The difference in raw strength was overwhelming. Lin Xiao couldn't even pull the weapon free. With a savage kick, Tang Tian sent him flying backward. Before Lin Xiao could recover, Tang Tian hurled the spear like a javelin. Boom! It slammed into the arena floor, splitting stone and soil apart. The spear came flying straight toward his chest, but midair, Lin Xiao twisted his body, clenching his fist tight. "Explosive fist!" he roared, hurling his punch forward. The impact detonated like a cannon. His strike blasted the incoming spear off course, saving him by a hair's breadth. Instructor Luo's face went pale. That bastard Tang Tian, he's overdrawing his life just to win. The duel was no longer fair, it was pure madness. Yet Tang Tian's mentor merely sneered. There's no rule saying you can't use enhancers during a combat trial. The principal hesitated, then nodded, permission granted. After all, the Tang family were major shareholders of Starflare Academy, and with the Tang patriarch himself watching from the stands, who dared oppose him? The referee swallowed hard, then raised his voice. The match continues. Unarmed, Lin Xiao sent. But instead of fear, Lin Xiao's eyes lit up. 70% death rate. That means plenty of EXP. He grinned. "Count me in." Luo smiled helplessly. And the good news, you've officially entered the top 100 Academy ranking. The reward is a silver tier spear technique card. Rainstorm Piercer, capable of launching 100 thrusts in 1 second. Lin Xiao imagined it instantly. Phantom spears raining down like a storm, enemies torn apart before they could even blink. Damn, that's cool. Luo patted his shoulder. "You've got potential, kid, but remember, come back alive." Lin Xiao nodded firmly, his gaze steady. "Don't worry, teacher, I'll return stronger than ever." Later that day, Lin Xiao went into Starshine City to buy a new set of Academy combat gear. He didn't expect an ambush. Waiting for him the moment he turned into a narrow alley. 5 low-ranked martial fighters stepped out of the shadows, their blades gleaming coldly. Without saying a word, they rushed him all at once. Lin Xiao moved like a shadow, slipping through their attacks with effortless agility. He countered with a burst fist, his strike cracking through one attacker's arm like dry wood. The man screamed in agony. Lin Xiao's eyes went cold. "Those who kill," he said softly, "will be killed in turn." His next punch exploded the man's skull, painting the alley walls red. The remaining 4 panicked. No one dared to go in alone. They attacked together in desperation. But to Lin Xiao now, first-tier fighters were nothing more than children throwing tantrums. Each punch dropped one like a rag doll. 2 survivors bolted, terrified beyond reason. Lin Xiao smirked, "Sent by the Tang family. Huh. Only 5 of you. Guess they're still underestimating me." Meanwhile, inside the luxurious Tang estate, a well-dressed matriarch slammed her jeweled palm against the table. "Idiots!" she shouted. 5 first-tier fighters against 1 novice. And they still lost 3. "Are you all brain-dead?" Her crimson nails dug into the wood as she hissed. "That boy Lin Xiao will rot in the gutter before I'm done with him." Tang Mubai waved his hand dismissively. "I've already pressured the academy," he said coldly. "Lin Xiao will be sent to the Bright Fortress extermination mission." He smirked. "The death rate, there is 70% that I wouldn't mind making a little higher." The next morning, Lin Xiao arrived at Bright Fortress, the air heavy with gun oil and killing intent. Because his strength hadn't officially reached the warrior threshold, the surrounding soldiers laughed at him the moment he showed up. Their jeers stopped only when the instructor's voice cut through the air. "Anyone who opens their mouth again, 100 push-ups each." Later, aboard the transport aircraft, those same soldiers still hadn't let it go. They had the metal case by Lin Xiao's feet. Curiosity glinting in their eyes, Point One reached out to pry it open. Lin Xiao's hand came down over the lid. "Didn't your mother teach you Silver Soul doesn't draw breath unless it tastes blood?" The aura that poured from him froze the man in place. He couldn't even breathe. Lin Xiao sighed, almost disappointed. So this is what passes for a first-tier warrior. Pathetic. Humiliated, the man roared and threw a punch straight at him. Lin Xiao moved like lightning. His fist slammed into the soldier's jaw, sending a tooth spinning through the air. The man staggered back, clutching his face, but stubbornly tried to lunge again. Enough! The instructor's roar cut through the chaos like thunder. He glared at the man. "Jin Hai, you call yourself a warrior? Getting dropped by a high schooler who hasn't even awakened. You're a damn embarrassment." The instructor snorted. "Save your energy that you'll need it to stay alive once we hit the Bright Fortress." Minutes later, the transport aircraft touched down at the fortress's frontline base. The 3 instructors were immediately dispatched to the core zone to deal with high-tier mutated beasts. The rest were split into 4 10-man squads, each led by a captain, and ordered to enter through the southern gate. Lin Xiao's squad drew the task of sweeping the abandoned town for zombies and low-tier mutants. At first, it was easy work, just a few first-tier zombies slow and weak. But as they pressed deeper, the streets grew darker and faster, stronger tier. 2 zombies began to appear. Jin Hai, still nursing his bruised pride, charged in recklessly with his battle axe. The zombies lunged with terrifying speed, far beyond what they had faced before. By the time Jin Hai realized his mistake, it was already too late. A streak of silver flashed behind him. Lin Xiao's spear pierced clean through the zombie's skull, saving his life in the nick of time. Jin Hai finally realized who had saved him. It was Lin Xiao, the very guy he used to mock. Feeling ashamed, he muttered, "Thanks." But Lin Xiao didn't even respond. He dashed straight into the horde. After all, every zombie was nothing but walking XP in his eyes. His spear blurred through the air, slicing and thrusting with precise, lethal movements. His teammates could only stare in awe. "How the hell is he stronger than us tier?" "One warriors," one of them gasped. The squad leader barked, "Quit gawking. These are tier. 2 zombies, stay sharp." She charged forward, her blade flashing, leading the others back into the fray. With everyone working together, the front line began to stabilize, cutting down wave after wave of zombies. But then, A thunderous roar shattered the brief calm, echoing through the ruined streets. Lin Xiu's expression hardened. That's the leader zombie. It's calling the others. Before anyone could react, heavy footsteps and guttural growls filled the air. Within seconds, they were surrounded by a swarm of the undead. The captain shouted, "Don't panic. Keep your distance and open fire." Gunfire erupted, muzzle flashes painting the night red. Lin Xiu fought like a machine, mowing down the undead as his XP counter kept ticking higher. Then the system chimed. Level up, level 12 achieved. Combat power, 800 at Lin Xiu had officially become a tier 1 warrior. Close-range combat now. The captain yelled. She drew her blade, the edge gleaming coldly. With a fierce shout, she unleashed her technique. Rending slash, a crescent wave of energy that split through the oncoming horde. Her attack reignited everyone's morale. The squad roared and charged in unison. And at the very front, Lin Xiu, eyes burning, spears spinning that TO him, this was paradise. Endless enemies, endless XP. He tore through the zombies like a blazing storm, clearing an entire lane within seconds. But their numbers were overwhelming. The captain shouted, "Fall back! To that building, move!" They retreated while fighting. The first soldier through the door yelled, "A roll-down gate! We can seal it!" To keep the horde from reaching the gate before it shut, the captain ordered, "Lin Xiu, get inside first. I'll cover the rear." But Lin Xiu shoved her toward the doorway instead. "Hey, what are you doing?" she shouted. Lin Xiu grinned. "Sorry, Captain, I've got a rule. Ladies don't cover my retreat." On the surface, it looked like a gallant move that, in truth, he just didn't want anyone stealing his XP. Drawing a deep breath, he gathered flames around his weapon. A heartbeat later, Phoenix Ascension erupted. The air ignited, the spear's blaze sweeping through the street like a firestorm. Every zombie within sight was engulfed. Even those further away burned to ash. His teammates froze, jaws slack at the sheer power of his attack. "Lin Xiu, get your ass in here!" Someone yelled, but the metal shutter was already denting under the pounding of hundreds of undead. Seconds later, the gate gave way with a screech, and the horde poured through. Lin Xiu winced. Damn it, cheap imports that should have gone with local steel. Thankfully, there was another gate, a heavy iron bar door at the top of the stairs. The squad rushed up and slammed it shut, sealing themselves on the second floor. The air upstairs was damp and cold, thick with decay that it was clear this place wasn't safe either. As they climbed, a foul, rotten stench hit them like a wall. In the corner sat a corpse, wrapped tightly in webbing like a human cocoon. When they looked up, their blood ran cold. Spiderwebs draped across the ceiling, and several dried husks dangled silently overhead. One of the soldiers whispered nervously, "Don't tell me this place has mutant spiders." Before he could even finish, a dark blur dropped right onto his shoulder. "Get it off!" someone yelled, slamming the thing away with his rifle, but it hit the floor, a small, black spider, barely the size of a fist. "Level 1 variant," someone muttered, relieved. "Looks weak." But that relief lasted exactly 2 seconds. The ceiling began to move. Hundreds of black shapes poured out from every crack and shadow, and a tide of spiders came crashing down. "Fall back! Upstairs!" The captain's voice broke through the panic as everyone bolted toward the 3rd floor. But when they reached it, their hearts sank. This level was a nest too. Gunfire roared, blades flashed, flames burst. Chaos filled the narrow hallways as they fought their way upward. At last, they burst through a door that led to the rooftop. "Everyone up now!" The captain slammed the iron door behind them and locked it tight. The team collapsed against the walls, panting, covered in grime and spider ichor. Lin Xiu leaned over the rooftop edge. Down below, the zombies that had surrounded the building were starting to drift away, confused. But then, howls out a pack of Tier 2 Fonghounds charged out from a nearby alley. To everyone's shock, the beasts began fighting the zombies, ripping them apart. Lin Xiu frowned. Why the hell are they attacking each other? Aren't they both infected species? The captain's eyes lit up with realization. That's it. The hounds are drawing the zombies off the building. She tightened her grip on her weapon. This is our chance to break out. Everyone, get ready to move. Move out, break the perimeter first, then resume the sweep, the captain barked. The squad regrouped, boots pounding down the blood-slick stairwell. But their noise didn't go unnoticed. The Fong hounds had locked onto them again. The Tier 2 hounds lunged first, but the squad cut them down in a storm of bullets and blades. Within seconds, the hallway fell silent. That silence didn't last, that a low growl rolled through the rubble. From a smoke stepped a beast 3 times the size of the others, a corpse dangling from its jaws. Its crimson eyes gleamed with murderous intent. The Fonghound King had arrived, then vanished. In the blink of an eye, it reappeared right in front of Soldier. Thinking it was just another hound, the man swung his blade. Clang! The weapon bent like tin against the beast's hide. What the he gasped, before the hound's jaws clamped down, tearing his arm clean off in a spray of blood. "You bastard," the captain roared. "I'll split you in half." She unleashed her LV.5 skill. Rift Slash, cleaving the air itself apart. But the Fonghound King was too fast. It blurred past the attack, a streak of muscle and fury. In the next instant, it lunged straight for her throat, its fangs gleaming crimson under the firelight. At the very last second, Lin Xiu burst through the haze of smoke, his silver soul spear blazing crimson as it pierced straight into the Fanghound's gut, saving the captain just in time. He spun the spear and unleashed a rapid flurry of thrusts, each one striking like thunder. But the creature's hide was as hard as steel, barely letting the spear sink in. "Damn, tough bastard. Fine, let's see you tank this." Lin Xiu growled. He gathered every ounce of rage and strength into the weapon's tip. Charge strike, activated. Flames and raw energy spiraled together. The spear roared like a cannon, drilling into the beast's abdomen before Lin Xiu shouted and wrenched upward, sending the massive Fonghound crashing to the ground in a cloud of dust and debris. But Lin Xiu didn't lower his guard. The system hadn't issued a kill prompt. Sure enough, blood energy erupted from the beast's body. Its eyes glowed blood red, auras surging like a storm. The Fonghound suddenly unleashed its hidden ability, Bloodlust Pounce. Its form blurred, a crimson aura bursting outward as it lunged with killing intent. Lin Xiu was too slow to dodge. He was sent flying several meters, smashing into a concrete wall with a heavy crash. The Fonghound went berserk, veins glowing red, jaws dripping with blood as it roared in blind fury. It charged again, faster than before, its claws tearing up the asphalt beneath it. "Enough of this crap," Lin Xiu growled, forcing himself to stand. "You think I'm scared of you?" Flames erupted around him like wings of a phoenix. 100 birds to the phoenix, activated in full power. His spear blazed a trail of fire through the air and met the Fonghound head-on. The explosion that followed rocked the entire block, flames swallowing everything in sight. System notification: frowny face target eliminated. Tier 3 Fonghound King. EXP plus 8,000. Lin Xiu barely had time to breathe when a sudden growl rose from the rubble. A Tier 2 zombie leapt from the shadows, landing beside the Fanghound's corpse. It plunged its hand straight into the beast's skull and ripped out a glowing crimson evolution core. Without hesitation, the zombie shoved it into its mouth and bit down hard. A low rumble shook the air as its muscles bulged. Veins turned black, and its aura spiked. The thing was evolving, right before everyone's eyes. Lin Xiu never expected zombies could evolve using evolution cores. If that thing completed its transformation into a Tier 3 zombie lord, it'd be a nightmare. Without hesitation, he dashed forward, determined to strike before the evolution finished. The Tier 2 zombie's flesh began to harden like steel, dark crimson sigils crawling across its body as its mutation accelerated. Even 100 birds to the phoenix could only knock it back temporarily. The thing's defense was monstrous, but the skill drained stamina like crazy. He couldn't spam it for long. Surrounded by an endless horde, Lin Xiu needed something faster, deadlier, a clean sweep. That's when he pulled out this silver rank skill card, Rainstorm Pear Blossom. And right there, surrounded by hundreds of undead, he started learning it. Is this guy insane? Someone yelled from behind. He's studying a skill card right now? The zombies lunged in all at once. Lin Xiao's eyes snapped open, glowing silver. System activation, frowny face, rainstorm pear blossom. His spear blurred into a storm of strikes. Silver arcs flashing faster than sight, tearing through the horde and forcing them back in waves. Only 3 thrusts per second, he muttered, unsatisfied. Not fast enough again. His movements grew sharper, cleaner, each repetition pushing the technique toward mastery. The squad behind him felt their blood boil. Can't let some high schooler outshine us, the captain shouted. Maybe we can't beat that monster kid, but hell, we can still fight. Lin Xiao's madness was contagious. His reckless charge lit a fire in everyone's hearts. We're not letting a high schooler outshine us, the captain roared. Move it, people, fight like you mean it. We may not match that monster, another shouted, but we sure as hell ain't backing down. Lin Xiao's spear blurred into motion. 5 thrusts per second, every strike a streak of firelight. The lesser undead around him fell like wheat before the scythe. He launched forward like a meteor, spear first, straight toward the zombie lord. Clang, clang, clang. Every thrust met resistance. The creature deflected them all. It had fully completed its evolution. Its power might not rival the tier 3 Fong Hound, but its defense was absurd, skin like forged armor. None of Lin Xiao's attacks could pierce it. If I don't end this fast, he thought grimly, it'll keep summoning reinforcements, and we'll all be torn apart. Skill activated. Berserk, a crimson aura exploded from his body, heat distorting the air around him. If you can take the normal rainstorm pear blossom, he growled, then let's see you survive the Berserk version. The upgraded Rainstorm Pear Blossom Berserk mode roared to life, each strike carrying concussive force and flaming trails. Flesh tore, black ichor sprayed. In that instant, Lin Xiao and his spear moved as one, a seamless extension of will and fury. His perception sharpened, instincts accelerating. Every motion, every thrust felt perfect. Lin Xiao thrust his spear forward. One clean motion, no wasted energy. The air split apart with a thunderous boom as the zombie lord froze in place. It was just one strike, but it carried more power than his previous 5 combined. The explosion flared behind him as he stood tall, back to the blast. Real men, he muttered with a grin, don't look back at explosions. System notice, tier 3 zombie lord eliminated. The back-to-back kills of 2 tier 3 monsters shot his level straight to 13, plus all potential points allocated. Strength plus 20. Let's finish this. Wipe them all out. With their teamwork in full sync, the last of the undead fell, leaving only mangled corpses and the stench of blood hanging in the smoky air. The squad leader wiped the grime from her cheek and stared at Lin Xiao. That final strike. How did you do that? It was the same technique, but the power, it skyrocketed. Lin Xiao hesitated. I didn't think that I just moved. For that one instant, he could feel his heartbeat pulsing through the spear. Man and weapon as one. The captain's eyes widened. Wait, don't tell me you actually comprehended an ultimate art? In this world, ultimate arts were the peak evolution of any skill. Even a lowly bronze technique, once awakened, could hit with the force of a silver tier, sometimes even grazing gold tier power. But to reach that state required more than practice. That IT demanded life or death experience, deep understanding, and a spark of sheer luck, something only a handful of fighters ever touched. Lin Xiao's pulse quickened. His grip tightened on the silver soul spear as a grin tugged at his lips. If I really awakened the Rainstorm Pear Blossom's ultimate form, then I just crossed into gold tier territory. The team decided to camp on the rooftop for the night. They roasted chunks of the Tier 3 Fanghound's meat over a small fire, letting the smell drift through the ruined air. As Lin Xiao chewed the smoky meat, his thoughts drifted to his little girlfriend back home. Casually, he asked the captain, "Hey, have you ever heard of a place called the Sanctuary?" The captain glanced over and said, "You mean the Sanctuary Academy? That's one of the elite warrior schools. Every student there is a genius, strong enough to stand out even among the best." Their admission requirement is insane that high school graduates have to reach Tier 2 warrior level just to qualify. Lin Xiao smirked. Tier 2. For someone with a system like his, it was only a matter of time that he couldn't help but wonder. When he finally reached that level, what kind of expression would that icy girl make when she saw him again? By dawn, the squad was back on the move. Their mission: clear out the central zone of all remaining zombies and mutated beasts. Once that was done, the operation would finally be over. Just as the squad was getting ready to move, someone spotted movement on the skyscraper's outer wall. Something was slowly crawling upward. It was a Tier 2 crawler zombie. Jinhai immediately pulled out his gun, eager to shoot. Lin Xiao shouted, "Don't fire!" But it was already too late. The crawler, which had seemed sluggish a second ago, snapped its head around with lightning speed, dodging the bullet with inhuman agility. Everyone froze in shock. The creature had been pretending to move slowly, baiting them like a predator playing dumb. That single gunshot echoed through the ruins, drawing in a swarm of crawlers from every direction. The team raised their rifles and opened fire. Bullets ripped through the air, forcing several zombies back before they could reach the wall. But the crawlers were too fast. Within seconds, they were right in front of them. The captain swung her blade, slicing one clean in half, and the rooftop instantly devolved into chaotic close-quarters combat. Suddenly, a crawler dropped straight from above. Its fangs sank deep into Adong's shoulder before anyone could react. The captain moved to help, but it was too late. Dozens more crawlers were closing in from every direction. The fight quickly turned desperate. They had to fend off attacks from both the ground and the ceiling. "Fall back to open ground," Lin Xiao shouted. "They can't drop on us if there's nothing above." The team sprinted through the ruined streets until they reached an abandoned garden plaza. But there, dozens more crawlers surrounded them in every direction. "If you don't want to die here, fight like hell," the captain roared. Without tall buildings to leap from, the crawlers were suddenly much less terrifying. After a brutal skirmish, the team finally wiped them all out, barely standing from exhaustion. Lin Xiao exhaled, reaching for his canteen. A flash of steel suddenly sliced toward his back. An ambush. He ducked in the nick of time, the blade grazing past his ear. The attacker didn't flee. Instead, he stood his ground, surrounded but grinning. "My target's him," the man growled, pointing straight at Lin Xiao. "Move, or die where you stand." "He's a soldier of the Federation," the captain shouted. "Lay a hand on him, and you're declaring war on all of us." The man sneered, unconcerned. He thought she was asking for death, and unleashed an attack. The captain didn't flinch. She immediately countered with her technique, Sky Splitter Slash. The two strikes collided midair, and a shockwave sent the captain flying several meters before she crashed to the ground. Her teammates, furious at the sight, quickly surrounded the man with weapons raised, ready to avenge their captain. But in the next instant, the man activated a silver tier skill, Cyclone Reaver. A violent gale erupted, the force of the wind pressure pinning everyone in place so they could not advance. "He's strong, at least a tier 3 warrior," Lin Xiao realized, alarmed. Not wanting to drag his comrades down, he turned and sprinted down the alley. The man laughed, mocking, "Coward, running off and leaving your teammates to die?" His expression snapped into a snarl. "You think you can run away?" After they disappeared, the team exchanged uneasy looks and asked, "Who was that guy?" The captain gritted her teeth and steadied herself, voice grave. "He's powerful. Lin Xiao might not be a match for him." Jinhai said anxiously, "What are we waiting for?" "Lin Xiao drew that guy away to protect us." The captain tightened her grip on her blade, fury in her eyes. "Anyone who dares touch my soldiers will pay the price." Lin Xiao had successfully baited the man into a secluded alley. The man snarled, "Where do you think you're going, kid?" Lin Xiao's lips curled into a faint smile. "Who said I'm running? I just wanted a quiet place to finish you." The man flushed with fury at the taunt. "Arrogant brat. Just you wait that I'll rip you to shreds." Lin Xiao knew full well this man had been sent by the Tang family to kill him. That grudge was carved into his memory. But first, he had to deal with the one standing before him. He lunged forward with his spear, thrusting sharply, only to pierce nothing but air. The man's eyes widened. He could hardly believe the sheer speed of that strike. The killing intent that burst from Lin Xiao in that instant was so sharp, it made even a Tier 3 warrior flinch. Lin Xiao frowned. His opponent's movements were too strange to is that a body technique skill, he wondered. They clashed again, and Lin Xiao narrowly avoided the dagger, slashing for his throat. As he ducked low, he twisted his body and drew his spear upward. The sudden upward strike caught the man completely off guard. But to Lin Xiao's surprise, the man dodged backward with lightning speed. "Not bad, kid," he sneered, "but you're still far from enough." In a blink, the man leapt high into the air. His silver tier combat art, falling petals slash, unleashed a storm of blades raining down from above. Lin Xiao's eyes narrowed. That move, it looks familiar. The cascading arcs of steel reminded him of his own rainstorm spear flurry, though he quickly noticed some of those slashes were illusions, not real strikes. He immediately countered, his spear flashing as he unleashed Rainstorm's spear flurry, forcing the wave of blades back in a violent collision. The impact exploded with a deafening roar, both fighters skidding apart across the alley floor. The man smirked. "I saw that move when you took down the crawlers. Impressive trick. Turning one thrust into four. Too bad it won't work on me." Lin Xiao surged forward again, unleashing another Rainstorm spear flurry. The man roared in defiance, activating his own technique, Twin Fong Assault. "I told you," he spat. "It's useless against me." In the next instant, his dagger plunged deep into Lin Xiao's arm. "Looks like I win this round," he sneered, twisting the blade. Lin Xiao met his gaze, eyes sharp and unyielding. "Not necessarily." The man froze. Then his expression twisted in shock. Blood was seeping through his chest. "Impossible! I dodged all four of your thrusts." Lin Xiao's lips curled into a grin. "Who said I only strike 4 times a second? The 5th one was for you." The man's jaw clenched. "You bastard!" Before he could finish, his body collapsed lifelessly to the ground. The familiar chime echoed in his ears. "You've slain a Tier 3 warrior. Experience gained. 120,000. Congratulations, host. Level 14 achieved." Lin Xiao hadn't expected to level up again so quickly. His stamina and vitality surged back, but the twin stab wounds still refused to stop bleeding. Then, someone called his name from afar. When he saw his teammates running toward him, relief finally softened his gaze. But his body had already reached its absolute limit. The moment his tension eased, his vision blurred, and he collapsed to the ground. When Lin Xiao came to, his entire body was wrapped in bandages. He looked more like a mummy than a man. Pushing himself upright, he stepped out of the tent into the bright, forgiving sunlight. There stood the squad captain, holding a steaming bowl of porridge, offering it to him with a faint smile. In that moment, warmth spread through his chest. After days of fighting side by side, the squad had come to respect Lin Xiao deeply. Their captain told him to rest for the night. Once he'd healed, they'd resume the purge. A month later, the team finally completed the mission to clear out the central zone. "If it weren't for you," the captain admitted with a tired smile, "we'd all be corpses by now." The others laughed, clapping Lin Xiao on the back. They no longer saw him as a student, but as a brother in arms. Just then, a cloud of dust rose in the distance. Several rough-looking men were approaching fast, their intent anything but friendly. The leader sneered. "Looks like you've had a good hunt. How about we hold on to some of that for you?" The captain snapped back, her tone sharp as steel. "You've got some nerve. You know we're Federation soldiers, and you still dare to rob us?" Lin Xiao activated his analysis eye, quickly scanning the arrival stats. There were 5 Tier 1 fighters among them, and one stood out, a Tier 3 warrior with a combat power of 1,891. The scar-faced leader barked, "Enough talk, cut the crap." He pointed at Lin Xiao, voice cold. "I want the kid. The rest are yours." The captain's eyes widened. She finally recognized the scarred MNIT was Lone Wolf Zhou Diaoyu. He once wiped out an entire battalion by himself. Even her own comrades had died under his blade. and oh wonder they dared to rob a federal squad without hesitation. Zhou's killing intent radiated like a storm. Slaughtering your so-called federal soldiers? He sneered. To me, it's no different from butchering dogs. It was clear now. The Tang family had spared no expense to take revenge on Lin Xiao. Not long ago, he'd killed the Tier 3 assassin Shadow Wuji, and now they'd sent someone even stronger, Zhou Jiayu himself. Though both were Tier 3 warriors, Zhou's power dwarfed the previous assassins. The gap was like heaven and earth. Even a casual slash from his blade made Lin Xiao feel an almost unbearable pressure. Lin Xiao's teammates were locked in their own battles, completely unable to come to his aid. His rainfall barrage, 5 thrusts per second, looked utterly powerless before the scarred man. Zhou Jiayu sneered. If you could manage 10 strikes per second, maybe, just maybe, you'd leave a scratch on me. He raised his blade, posture calm and predatory. Now, let me show you what a real weapon looks like. As his sword cleaved downward, a massive arc of black energy roared toward Lin Xiao. The young warrior instantly felt it. If he tried to block head-on, he'd die for sure. In that desperate instant, Lin Xiao activated rage mode, his aura erupting like a volcano. The black slash crashed into him with an ear-splitting explosion, shaking the entire ruin to its core. His teammates turned their heads in horror. The air filled with smoke and flames, and no one could see whether Lin Xiao had survived. When the dust finally cleared, everyone gasped. Lin Xiao had survived the blow. His clothes were in tatters, his body bruised, but he was still standing. The scarred man frowned, convinced Lin Xiao's sudden burst of strength came from some kind of forbidden drug. Yet instead of caution, excitement gleamed in his eyes. His bloodlust only grew. Even with rage mode active, Lin Xiao realized he was still being overpowered. This guy, he's at least peak tier 3. Seeing Lin Xiao only defending, the scarred man gripped his massive blade tighter, his aura exploding outward. He spun in place, sword howling through the air. This was the first strike of his silver rank technique, Vortex Triple Slash. Lin Xiao braced himself and blocked, but the impact hurled him through the air like a rag doll. Even the unbreakable Silver Soul spear trembled in his hands, hairline cracks snaking across its surface. The scarred man gave Lin Xiao no time to breathe. His sword roared again as he unleashed the second slash. Lin Xiao had planned to save his trump card, but he had no choice now. He needed to test this attack's power head-on. Rainstorm Blossom. Silver flashes burst from his spear like a flurry of lightning strikes. The scarred man scoffed. That move won't work on me. But before he could finish the sentence, flames erupted. 100 Birds' rising phoenix ignited alongside it. After a month of relentless combat, Lin Xiao could now dual cast both techniques at once. Shock finally flickered across the scarred man's face. An explosion thundered through the battlefield. Lin Xiao blocked the second slash but was blasted backward, slamming into the ground. The scarred man sneered, his grin twisted and cruel. Impressive strike. Raising his massive blade high, his aura flared violently. But you don't understand. Each cut of my Vortex Triple Slash absorbs my enemy's power. The stronger your strike, the deadlier my third one becomes. The scarred man roared, his third slash bursting forth. A crimson arc so fierce it tore through the air like a storm of blood. Lin Xiao felt the sheer killing intent crash over him. Death itself seemed to reach out and clutch his throat. But in that very instant, something within him shifted. The world fell silent. He and his spear became one, every heartbeat echoing through the weapon's core. Rainstorm Blossom, awakened form, a blinding surge of flame and lightning fused into one strike, piercing straight through the scarred man's chest. The man froze, eyes wide in disbelief. Impossible. It's the same move. How? How did it become so strong? System prompt. Enemy slain. Tier 3 warrior. Experience gained. 180,000. Level up. LV.15 achieved. Lin Xiao's vision blurred. The last of his strength left his body. As the battlefield fell quiet, he stumbled once, then collapsed unconscious. When Lin Xiao opened his eyes again, he found himself lying aboard the returning airship, the steady hum of the engines filling the silence. Captain Su walked up to him and handed over a glowing blue card. 3 million Alliance credits, she said with a grin. Your bounty reward for taking down Shadow Wuji and the lone wolf, Zhou Jiaoyu. Lin Xiao's eyes practically sparkled. 0.3 million. He could finally afford new gear again. Once the excitement settled, he scratched the back of his head awkwardly. Captain Su, how should I thank you? The captain smirked mischievously and suddenly leaned forward, pressing herself against him. I haven't decided yet. Maybe by marrying me? Lin Xiao's face turned crimson. I'm still in high school. Dating's not allowed. Su blinked, then burst out laughing. Unbelievable, a real iron-willed straight man. Days later, the airship finally landed back in Starshine City. The commanding officer held a solemn ceremony, pinning upon each of them the medal reserved only for the soldiers of the Federation. Lin Xiao's outstanding performance during the mission had made him the undeniable hero of the squad. After the ceremony, the commanding officer approached him with a smile. Kid, ever thought about joining the Federation Army? With your talent, reaching the rank of Major General in a few years wouldn't be impossible. Lin Xiao rubbed the back of his neck, looking a little embarrassed. Sir, I'm still in my senior year of high school. And, well, I kind of want to go to college first. The officer blinked, then burst into laughter. Right, I almost forgot you're still a student. Fine then. Once you graduate, come find me anytime. Captain Su, standing nearby, fell into silent thought. A high school kid who can already take down a Tier 3 warrior. Just how am I supposed to win over this little monster? Before departure, Lin Xiao shared farewell hugs with his teammates, their bond forged through blood and fire. Then Captain Su spread her arms and teased, What? You're not going to hug your big sister goodbye? Lin Xiao stepped forward awkwardly, only to be wrapped in a suffocatingly soft embrace that made his face turn red. Don't forget us, okay? She murmured softly near his ear. No matter how high you rise, remember, you still have brothers and sisters who once fought and bled beside you. Meanwhile, the Academy's year-end tournament was in full swing. From the stands, Instructor Luo kept glancing around anxiously. Why isn't Lin Xiao here yet? The Federation troops were supposed to return yesterday. Don't tell me. Beside her, Fatty frowned with worry. Teacher Luo, where exactly did Lin Xiao go to train? It's been a whole month already. What if something happened to him? Luo sighed. Let's wait a little longer. That kid's tough. He won't go down that easily. On stage, Tang Tian crushed his opponent Lei Liang, the 98th ranked fighter, in a one-sided match. The crowd erupted in chatter. I heard Tang Tian just returned from the path of death. That place is a nightmare. Barely anyone survives it. Just then, the referee called Lin Xiao's name, but no one stepped onto the stage. As he began the countdown to forfeit, tension filled the air. Then suddenly, whoosh, a figure dropped from the sky. No need to count, Lin Xiao said with a grin. I'm here. His opponent sneered. So you're the trash from class 29? You're not even worthy to face me. Lin Xiao smirked, raising his pinky in mock disdain. Sorry, you're not even worth swinging at. Chun Zhao's veins bulged with fury. You bastard. The referee signaled the start, and Chun Zhao roared, swinging his mat wall, shattering both itself and the stone it hit. See? Infusing energy into an object makes it harder, sure, but it's still just a rock. It'll break when it hits something stronger. She lifted another stone, this time letting energy flow around it, coating its surface. Now, when you envelop it, crack. The new stone blasted through the rock and came out intact. When warriors coat their weapons with source energy, not just infuse it, the effect multiplies. The stronger the energy, the greater the result. She smirked. Now, focus your energy into your eyes. You'll be able to see the layer of power on my blade. Lin Xiao concentrated, guiding his energy toward his vision. When he opened his eyes, he froze. Bailey Holing's twin blades were wrapped in a dense, radiant layer of violet energy, pulsing like living flame. Blue for tiers 1 to 3, violet for 4 to 6, orange for 7 to 9, gold beyond that, the realm of legends. This sword, Bailey said softly, was my mother's. Cheap alloy, maybe worth a few thousand credits. Then she smiled faintly, blade humming with power, but with my energy covering it. Its sharpness rivals weapons worth millions. Lin Xiu frowned. Wait, you said you suppressed your strength to tier 1, right? But the energy on your fist earlier was way above tier 1. Bailey Howling scratched her head. I just realized you've been sleeping in full weight training gear. She grinned, giving him a thumbs up. Not bad, disciple. Fighting that hard while fully weighted? Impressive. Then she pointed to a distant peak. Training goal for today. Reach that mountain before sunset. Lin Xiu's eyes widened. That's over 100 kilometers. You trying to kill me? Stop whining, she yelled, already sprinting ahead. Lin Xiu sighed, then froze as screeching filled the air. A swarm of man-eating birds dove straight toward him. He drew his sword and slashed upward. From ahead, Bailey shouted, Next 10 kilometers, fight and run. Locate the core crystals mid-combat, slice clean, and extract them without breaking a stride. That's insane, Lin Xiu yelled back. Watch and learn, Bailey replied, flipping midair. One precise slash, one perfect grab. The bird fell, and the crystal gleamed between her fingers. Lin Xiu snarled. TCH, show off. He swung at another bird. Crack. The crystal shattered to dust. No way, one more time, he growled, swinging again and again. But before long, his breath was ragged, arms trembling, and his whole body was screaming in exhaustion. Lin Xiu had barely rested for 2 minutes when a cold blade pressed against his neck. Bailey Howling stood there radiating murderous intent. If you don't want me to slice your head off, then run, boy, run. With no choice, Lin Xiu staggered back to his feet. He glanced at his interface. Quest. Rapid growth, progress 6,021/10,000. At this rate, he'd probably finish before reaching Black Sea City. He'd been complaining nonstop, but he had to admit her training methods actually worked. Within just a short time, his speed, precision, and reflexes had all noticeably improved. By the time the sun dipped below the horizon, Lin Xiu finally completed the brutal training. Bailey crossed her arms and glared. That's all you've got? I ran over 1,000 kilometers back in my day. Whiz, an arrow suddenly shot straight for the back of Lin Xiu's head. Bailey reacted instantly. Her blade flashed, deflecting it mid-air with a sharp clang. Only then did Lin Xiu realize, horrified, someone had been tailing them for a while, and he hadn't even noticed. 2 silhouettes emerged from a distance. Bailey narrowed her eyes. Inyan brothers, huh? Bandits who haunt these valleys, robbing and murdering warriors for loot. Her tone turned icy. You're on the Federation's wanted list. Each of your heads is worth 50 million credits. The brothers exchanged a glance, then attacked without hesitation. Lin Xiu's stomach dropped. Both tier 4 warriors. Great. Bailey drew both blades, stepping forward. Watch closely, disciple. This is how you fight using source energy. Lin Xiu understood. She planned to fight them both at once. Her energy aura dwarfed theirs by far. Their first clash erupted with a thunderous shockwave. Bailey pivoted mid-strike and kicked Luo in clean off his feet, sending him crashing through the trees. Luo Yang charged in fury, his attacks blazing with energy. Bailey snorted. That all you've got? But before she could press her advantage, both men shouted in unison, activating their joint skill, Meteor Rain Duet. The combined power rivaled a tier 5 warrior strike. Dozens of glowing arrows rained down from the night sky like falling stars. Lin Xiu couldn't help muttering, terrible name, but I'll admit they'd messed with the wrong person. Bailey gave them no time to react. She activated a golden grade technique, Falling Moon, 13 slashes. Her silhouette blurred like a ghost through their ranks. In the blink of an eye, both brothers were cut down. Bailey simply stared at their corpses, her expression cold and unreadable. Lin Xiu frowned. Wait, they're still breathing. Without hesitation, he stepped forward and finished them off with 2 clean strikes. System prompt. Enemy defeated, tier 4 warrior. EXP plus 1,800,000. Lin Xiu grinned. 2 kills, over 3 million EXP. and a level up. Not bad for cleanup duty. Bailey raised a brow. Didn't expect you to enjoy this kind of thing. Lin Xiu replied seriously. Next time we meet strong enemies, you weaken them. I'll handle the finishing blow. Deal. Bailey frowned, misunderstanding completely. You trying to steal my bounty? Not happening. Suddenly, the system chimed again, frowny face warning. System anomaly detected. Damage contribution below 40%. EXP reduced to 10%. Bug fixed. Level downgraded to 15. Potential points recalled. Lin Xiu shouted, "What? That's not even my fault. Why punish me?" Another prompt followed, immediately frowny face bug, discovery acknowledged. Compensation granted, plus 3 lottery spins. Level retained at 16. Bailey watched him flip from joy to rage and back again, utterly confused. Is he having a mental breakdown? As night fell, Lin Xiu resumed his energy control training. Under Bailey's supervision, he began coating every part of his body with source energy. Bailey Haolang's lips curved into a mischievous smile. Without warning, she punched Lin Xiu square in the stomach, hard enough to nearly make him puke out his dinner. He flew backward and slammed into a tree with a loud thud. "Are you trying to kill me?" Lin Xiu roared. Bailey tilted her head. "Didn't you notice your defense got stronger?" Lin Xiu blinked. Wait, she's right. A punch like that should have crippled him, yet his body only felt sore. The stronger your energy coding, Bailey explained, the tougher your defense becomes. Then she cracked her knuckles with a snap, snap, snap. All right, tonight's special training. Get ready to be beaten up. Lin Xiu barely had time to react. Pow! Her fist connected right with his cheek. By the time dawn broke, his face was swollen like a pig's head. The next day, they finally arrived at Black Sea City. Bailey led him straight into a treasure pavilion. Got any diamond grade skill cards? She asked the clerk. The shopkeeper gave an awkward smile. Those are rare, even for Black Sea City. Just then, a knock sounded at the door. Lin Xiu assumed it was Bailey Haoling bringing up some late-night snacks. Instead, it was an ambush. The instant a dagger flashed toward him, he reacted. Source energy coating his body. Steel rang against energy as the blade failed to pierce. He kicked the serving cart over, creating space. The assassin flipped gracefully into the air. Dagger aimed straight down at his chest. Clang! Once again, Lin Xiu's energy barrier stopped the strike hold. The attacker froze. A tier 2 warrior with that defense? Impossible. Lin Xiu lunged forward, igniting his fire claw technique, tearing the man's arm clean off. He followed with an explosive fist, ending the fight in a burst of heat and shockwave. He turned to the second assassin. Energy gathered in his fist, Tiger Force Strike. The compressed air alone pinned the enemy to the wall. Wait, I'm with the Temple of Divinity. You can't kill me. Lin Xiu didn't even blink. One punch. Instant silence. Temple of Divinity? Sounds important. Don't tell me the Tang family is behind this too. A familiar voice called from behind. Not bad, disciple. 2 kills already? Guess the training's paying off. Lin Xiu yelled. Some teacher you are? You just sat there and watched me get stabbed. Bailey Haoling shrugged. I trust my student. Now I'll go book a new room. I'll handle the cleanup. The next morning, they headed for the Warrior Federation Hall. Lin Xiu entered as a candidate for the Warrior exam, while Bailey served as one of the official examiners. A huge man pushed through the crowd from behind, shoving everyone aside to cut to the front of the line. The other candidates kept their heads down. None dared provoke him. The guy was already a certified warrior. They were just rookies. But Lin Xiu didn't move an inch. The giant cursed and reached out to push him. Lin Xiu slapped his hand away. Ever heard of waiting your turn? Try it sometime. The brute's expression twisted with fury. Every damn year, there's always some idiot like you. Guess you'll be disqualified early again. Lucky for me, I love crushing weaklings like you. Around them, the other candidates fell silent. Some even muttered quiet prayers for Lin Xiu. The brute roared and threw a massive punch. Lin Xiu met it head-on with his explosive fist. Crack! Bone shattered. The man's entire arm went limp, completely useless. Lin Xiu snorted coldly. Anyone else planning to cut in line? Instantly, the queue straightened. every candidate standing perfectly spaced several meters away from him. Lin Xiu then stepped up for the combat power test. The scanner beeped, "Combat power, 1,499. So close to tier 2, someone whispered. No wonder he crushed that guy so easily. Next was the strength assessment, with Bailey Haoling serving as the examiner. She read the rules to a burly candidate. You need at least 1,000 kilograms of single-punch force to pass. The man sneered. You? A little teenage girl's the examiner? Bet you can't even hit that yourself. Bailey's face darkened. Then open your damn eyes and watch closely. She stepped forward and slammed her fist into the machine. Beep. 99,999 kilograms. Limit reached. The room went dead silent. Every candidate just stood there dumbfounded. One of them finally muttered, "No way that's real. I'll test it myself." He stepped forward, wound up, and slammed his fist into the machine. Result: 895 kilograms. Bailey Hulling glanced over. Fail. You can leave. The man's face twisted in rage. You rigged this thing. He lunged forward, reaching out as if to grab her. Bailey didn't even look. Her hand moved once, crack, snapping his arm like a twig. "You've got 30 seconds to disappear," she said calmly, her eyes cold. "Otherwise, you'll stay here forever." The man paled, clutched his arm, and fled without another word. Checking the next name on the list, Bailey suddenly smiled. "Oh, my dear disciple." Lin Xiu covered his face. "You're seriously the examiner?" Bailey proudly puffed her chest. "Of course. Your master's a level 3 member of the Warrior Federation." Lin Xiu blinked. The Federation had 5 membership tiers. Level 5, Executive Authority. Level 4, National Class Heroes. Level 3 already meant Elite Warrior status, reserved for those with extraordinary combat records. Taking a deep breath, Lin Xiu stepped forward to begin his test. Lin Xiu raised his fist. Boom! The tester flashed red. 1,999 kilograms. Seriously? Bailey Howling stomped her foot. "Couldn't you hold back a little? We still have burst and stamina tests left. Don't embarrass your teacher." After completing all the remaining assessments, Lin Xiu easily passed and obtained his warrior license. Bailey Howling had other assignments and couldn't continue his training. Lin Xiu hid his grin, pretending to look reluctant. Bailey saw straight through him and smacked him on the head. Then she tossed him a long metal case. "Congratulations, disciple. Your reward, 1 long spear. Borrowed, well, extorted from the pavilion master himself. A top-grade weapon. Should boost your combat power a lot." Lin Xiu froze. An advanced tier weapon, the spear was called Black Fong, once wielded by the legendary spear master, Bailey Rue. The moment he gripped it, Lin Xiu's arms trembled. It was incredibly heavy. 500 kilograms, Bailey explained. Forged from meteorite iron, the only one of its kind on Earth. "Wait," Lin Xiu gasped. "You mean the black meteor that crashed 100 years ago?" Rumor had it 12 weapons were forged from that meteor, each indestructible, priceless artifacts of war. Lin Xiu clutched the spear, eyes moist with emotion. Bailey waved casually. "If you ever get the chance, come find me in Sky City." Sky City? Lin Xiu blinked in disbelief. The floating metropolis, largest in the world, suspended by anti-gravity tech. Only tier 5 warriors or top scientists could live there. Lin Xiu sighed. Maybe clinging to this rich woman's thigh isn't such a bad idea. Still, he turned away, heading down the path towards Sanctuary Academy. At the train station, he was told, no tickets left. With no choice, he decided to stay overnight. On his way back, he felt it, a shadow following close behind. He tried to shake it off, but the ambushers surrounded him. Among them stood a tier 3 warrior. The Temple of Divinity was clearly taking him seriously now. System notification, rapid growth, quest completed, plus 50 potential points awarded. The weight vanished from his limbs. His body felt light, his strength surging that he immediately dumped all 50 points into strength. The tier 3 squad charged. Lin Xiu swung and vanished. He reappeared behind their leader. Tiger Force strike. The punch exploded against Fong Zhen's spine. He followed with a kick, sending a tier 2 thug flying. Fire claw. 2 more went down screaming. One last kick. Boom. A skull burst like a melon. The rest of the assassins froze, terrified. How could a tier 2 be this strong? Fong Jun staggered back to his feet, coughing blood. If not for his defensive skill, that last blow would have killed him. Snarling, he activated his movement art, illusory flash, and lunged for a deadly counterattack.